Every night, millions of people all over the world dream of this face. So I ask, do you recognize this man? Oh, you do? Well, even if you do, what if I told you there was more to this story? More than you thought. Welcome to Nothing is Revealed. My name is Alex, and I love creepy, inexplicable mysteries. And I love the internet. When the two meet, something explosive and exciting happens, but only in the web's deepest corners, its darkest chasms. Whether real or hoax, it only takes one shaky flashlight, one intrepid explorer, to illuminate the mystery to the world. And all you have to do is browse there and look at it. This is the first video in a planned series all about internet mysteries. I'll be your host, and together we'll sleuth and snoop and dig up the answers. I'm a computer science grad and a software developer, so I'll offer a unique perspective when possible on the technology. Tweets, photos, comments, blogs, and dead chats, the collective detritus of our online lives. And as we'll learn today, even the oldest mysteries on the web, long debunked and forgotten, still have some loose ends. So join me for a story, won't you? In case you don't recognize this man, I'll give you the rundown. The story is that thousands of people dream this man's face every night in a variety of contexts. Some of the dreams are relatively harmless, some just odd, some a little menacing. Website thisman.org cataloged many of these dreams and accounts from people all over the world. The stark, white, simple site painted a picture, breathed life into the story. A story of a man with a blank face and cryptic intentions who travels only by night through a fabric of dreams. Sources online, including the earliest news post on the site itself, say that it sprung up in 2009. However, I have distinctive memories of seeing it before that. Maybe someone in the comments can back me up on that. I was thinking closer to 2006. My friends and I debated over it at the lunch table in 6th grade. So it was, for the first generation raised on the internet. If I remember right, I came across the site through board.com, an extremely proto-Reddit portal site that linked to weird corners all over the web. I was entranced. I didn't have much concept for hoax back then. It was different to reading a book. It felt like I'd stepped into the story, or rather, the story had stepped into me, into my life. The current site is slightly more expansive and modern, but they still have the old site online. Since that is what I originally saw, that is what I'll show you today. Have a peek at them both. Play around in there. It's a harmless site, to my knowledge. It's running ads, so somebody must still be profiting off this traffic. But anyway, let's have a look at some of the subsections. According to the history section, it is 2006. A well-known psychiatrist in New York draws a face. She swears she's never met the man, but he keeps appearing in her dreams. She forgets about the portrait and leaves it on her desk. Until a patient recognizes the face. He had met the man in his dreams, too. And so the unnamed psychiatrist embarks on a mission to unite everyone who'd met this man. At least 2,000 of them in cities all over the world. The last part of this is what I found so fascinating then and still now. The aim of this website, so it says, is to help and unite those who have seen the man, foster communication among them, to understand this man and his chaotic, random motives for dream jumping. Notice what's not in there? any kind of scheme. A PayPal icon. No obvious method of taking advantage of gullible web surfers. It made the whole thing feel all the more real. Why go through all this trouble if it's not a scam? There's the Dreams tab. Here's where the site gets weirder. Some dream that the man smiles at them and they feel profound joy. Some dream that he simply stands or floats there and says nothing and stares. Some dreams are terrifying. Some are sexual. Again, there doesn't seem to be an obvious pattern or slant to the site. It feels like these stories could be true, that the chaotic and random patterns of this man could exist in our chaotic and wild world. Stories are usually fine-tuned, logically sound, and strict. Not this, though. The last tab I want to highlight on the site is the Theories tab. Some theorize he's a religious figure, some kind of deity. Some theorize this man is an archetypal Jungian image that lives in our collective minds. Some are more rational and simply say he only recurs in people's dreams because they want him to. The dream imitation theory. If this phenomenon were happening in real life, you know people would argue. Scientists, people of faith, average Joes. Again, I feel it lends a sense of realism and credence to the site. There are more interesting things to unpack here, but I'll stop there and address the question you're all wondering, unless you already know. Is this a hoax? Well, yes. But it wasn't caught and debunked right away. At least not by the big guys. Hell, Vice ran a story on it in 2015, an absurd amount of years later. They issued a retraction and apology the same day. Way to go, Blake. It turns out the site was created by an Italian viral marketing specialist called Andrea Natella of the agency Guerrilla Marketing. Guerrilla designs subversive hoaxes and art projects, but their site hasn't been updated since 2007. It's unclear if Natella designed the site with profit in mind from the get-go. As I mentioned, the site seemed to serve no one monetarily other than the ads running on it. However, that wouldn't remain the case. Enter Hollywood. Specifically, Hollywood director Brian Bertino, the man behind the 2008 Liv Tyler horror film, The Strangers. Production company Ghost House Pictures acquired the This Man site in 2010 with the intent of making a horror movie called This Man, based around the concept of the site or something. I'm not sure how much the site cost them. Regardless, the movie was set, and Bertino was at the helm. This raises a few questions for me. Number one, was the site always intended to be sold, or did it really start off as an innocent art project? And number two, what happened to this movie? Well, let's start with the first question. My gut tells me no. Guerrilla Marketing had done other weird stuff like this. Hell, even their old website doesn't peddle their marketing solutions all that hard. Natella, to me, was just a man ahead of the time. He saw how the internet would play into our global folklore, and he was eager to submit a story of his own. The second question is where things get a bit odd. To this date, we know almost nothing about the movie short of its announcement and initial press release. No stars, no script, no set footage. Likely, the movie entered development hell and remains there to this day, almost a decade later. We do, however, have a small snippet of a synopsis. Who's to say if the script was done at this point, or if this was just an idea? The synopsis is odd and fascinating either way. Based on real-life accounts, this man follows an ordinary guy who discovers that people he has never met are seeing him in their dreams. Now, he must find out why he is the source of nightmares for strangers all over the world. Wow, now, there's one theory that Natella didn't come up with. Can I just say, I'm glad this movie never got made. It seems to be missing the point of what makes This Man such an intriguing concept from the get-go. The exciting part of the site, the reason it had a Theories tab in the first place, was because this man's origin was such an enticing mystery. God, gifted man, or myth? Could you pick a worse explanation for who this man is? Not to mention, where do you go with that? The protagonist is a normal, average, neutral good guy, and yet he's in the world's nightmares? Is he secretly a supernatural demon? Who knows? Viewers, I'd love to hear your theories on this film's actual plot in the comments below. What were they thinking? Website The Colonel thinks the site was built from the ground up as a promotional campaign for the movie. In truth, it's almost certain that the This Man site was created as a guerrilla marketing campaign specially for the film. But I have to disagree. It seems much more likely to me that Bertino, or someone, simply saw the site and had an idea for a film. A bad idea. Which is probably why the film died or evaporated into a state of limbo. If the site was created for this purpose, I feel it would have had more in common with the film's plot, or more hints to the possibility of the average Joe theory. As it stands, the site and this film synopsis feel like thoroughly separate entities to me. I reached out to the Ghost House Pictures email and phone numbers on their site and heard nothing back. However, it's not like the studio is defunct. They recently produced the smash horror hit Don't Breathe, as well as the Evil Dead and Poltergeist remakes. I think it's safe to say at this point that the This Man film will never see the light of day. At least, not with Bertino at the helm. Now, I've bashed that initial press release plot, but perhaps I'm being too harsh. Bertino found success as the writer and director of The Monster in 2016, a film I enjoyed, despite its flaws. Hell, The Strangers wasn't half bad either. Truthfully, he hasn't done much between now and his breakout in 2008. But he's proven himself as a solid horror director. Perhaps it's a shame that the movie never got made, and that This Man's site has fallen out of the world's collective minds and hearts. What did you think of the This Man website? Do you have formative or fond memories of it, as I do? Would you have liked to see the film? Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed the first video in this series on internet mysteries. If you have ideas, opinions, or feedback on this and future videos, you can reach the show via email. We're on Twitter as well. All of the links mentioned in this episode can be found in the description. If you like this and want more, please subscribe and give us a thumbs up.